Okay, everyone. Today, we're diving into what is, without a doubt, the most critical part of our regulatory submission, the quality dossier. You'll hear it called Module 3. Getting this piece right is absolutely non-negotiable for our product's future, so this briefing is all about decoding exactly what we need for a home run submission. Let's jump in.
At the end of the day, our entire quality submission, which can be thousands of pages long, boils down to answering this one single question from regulators. It's not enough to say we can make the medicine. We have to prove it with rock-solid data that we can make it to the highest standard consistently, batch after batch.
So, to cut through all the jargon, let's use a simple analogy for this. Forget medicine for a second and imagine we've invented a new kind of gourmet popcorn. Regulators aren't just going to take our word for it that it's good. Oh, no. They want the full recipe, they want to audit the factory, they want to see all the lab reports, and they want absolute proof it won't go stale on the shelf. That entire package of proof, that's Module 3.
So how do we actually organize all this evidence? Well, it's not just a chaotic data dump. The whole quality dossier is built on a really clear, logical framework. Let's look at the blueprint. Our whole quality story rests on 4 main pillars. You've got S for drug substance, that's our core ingredient. P is for drug product, the finished medicine that goes to the patient. A is for appendices, where all the supporting data lives. And finally, R is for regional information, which holds documents that are specific to, say, the FDA versus an agency in Europe. Let's really lock this in with our popcorn analogy. The drug substance, or S, is the raw popcorn kernel. It's the pure active ingredient. The drug product, or P, is the finished bag of popcorn you buy in the store. The kernel mixed with butter and salt, sealed in its final package, ready to go. And what's really crucial to understand is that regulators look at the quality story for the kernel and the finished bag completely independently. Okay, so let's start with the most fundamental piece of the puzzle, the kernel itself. In the regulatory world, this is the drug substance, or Section 3.2S. The story of our kernel has to answer 4 key questions. First, what exactly is this stuff? We have to define its identity, its molecular structure, all its properties. Second, how do we make it? We lay out every single step of manufacturing and the controls we have in place. Third, how do we test it? This is where we define what good looks like, our quality specifications. And finally, how do we store it? We have to provide the data that proves it stays stable over time. And here's a key point. We don't just show them the final process. We have to document the entire journey of how we got there. We have to explain why we made certain choices, like switching our drying method because the data showed it gave us a more uniform product. This level of detail shows regulators that we have a deep scientific understanding and control over our process, and that's exactly what they need to see. We have to show that we can make this stuff not just in a small lab beaker, but on a massive commercial scale, reliably. This journey is laid out in Section S.2.6. We show our initial lab experiments, how we tackled problems when we scaled up to a pilot plant, and then the final validation runs that prove our commercial process is totally robust. All right, let's move on to the next pillar. We've talked about the raw kernel, but now we have to shift our focus to the finished product. We've defined our ingredient. Now we need to tell the full story of the finished bag of popcorn, the actual medicine that a patient will use. This is the drug product, Section 3.2P. Now, the structure here is intentionally a mirror image of the drug substance section, and that's because regulators need a complete standalone story for the finished product too. It covers everything from how it's formulated and manufactured to how it's tested and how long it lasts. The logic is identical. We're just focused on the final packaged medicine now. You can see it right here, side by side. Just like we document the manufacturing, the controls, and the stability for the kernel, we do the exact same thing for the finished bag. This parallel structure ensures there are absolutely no gaps in our quality story, from the raw material all the way to the dose the patient takes.
The drug product story is so important because it gets into real-world use by patients. In the pharmaceutical development section, P2, we have to provide data that proves our medicine works as intended. For example, if a patient might mix our medicine with a drink, is it compatible? Will it stay stable in orange juice? We have to do those studies and provide that data. It's all about ensuring safety and performance for the patient.
So, let's wrap up with the final 2 pillars. Think of sections A and R as the critical fine print. This is where we put all the essential supporting evidence and the region-specific documents that make our dossier complete. The appendices basically give regulators a virtual tour of our facilities, with detailed factory layouts and proof that our equipment is qualified. For biologics, this is also where we put critical safety data.
Then, the regional section is our catch-all for documents that specific health authorities ask for. The FDA might want something the EMA in Europe doesn't, and this is where we put it.
Now, one of the most important documents you'll find in that regional section is the executed batch record. This is the ultimate paper trail. It's the legal record proving that every single step in our manufacturing process was performed, signed off on, and verified. In our industry, the mantra is simple. If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. These records are the proof.
Okay, let's bring this all home. Let's boil it all down into a final takeaway. To get a successful submission across the finish line, there are several key pieces of evidence we absolutely must have. This is our non-negotiable checklist.
Here they are, the 5 cornerstones of a successful submission. Our teams are working to make sure we have complete, finalized versions of all of these. The executed batch records we just talked about, the process validation reports that prove our commercial process works, the full stability data to back up our shelf life, the method validation packages to prove our tests are reliable, and of course, the final approved specifications for our product.
So after all of this work, after the thousands of pages, the years of development, what's the strategic value in getting this right? What does this complete, quality story really deliver for the business?
It's simple. It gives us our license to operate. A complete Module 3 is our ultimate proof of quality. It's a fully auditable, reproducible story that proves to regulators and just as importantly to ourselves that our medicine is exactly what we claim it is. And that is what enables global approvals, what ensures patient safety, and what ultimately protects the future of this product.